Welcome to Building an Action Figure. This will be made out of Super Sculpey. Please like and subscribe. So here I am with the base that I've already baked, and now I'm adding on his tentacles, and I'm using armature wire inside the Super Sculpey. And I had some problems with the video, so I apologize for not showing you how that worked, but I basically am now making the arms in these little kind of suction cups that will then blend to his main body. So right now the cup part is too big for his body, and I need to cut it down, but it's really weak. So I'm just trying to slowly go around and remove some of the material so that I can work the cup to make it look better. If not, it'll overcompass his whole ball joint, and it just won't have the same look that I'm looking for. It was a little off camera here, but what I'm doing is I'm just gently trimming around the top so that I can remove some of that material, and then what I'll do is I'll just kind of work back that little suction cup. And in hindsight, I probably should have done it better the first time, and I just kind of messed up. So here I am, just using an old X-Acto knife that I have. It's still a good blade, but not as sharp as it normally is. So now what I need to do is once I get it cut right and sized up right, I'm going to need to go through and blend in the two pieces. See how the cup doesn't fit around the ball joint very well? It's still kind of big. So that's what I'm working on now. And I'm trying to make sure that it stays within the groove that I've cut out for the leg. Here's the top piece of my figure that I'm working on. His name is Frank. He comes from a comic I wrote called Frank the Alien. You can still see it up on Facebook at under Frank the Alien. I also have it on DeviantArt, Gummy35, Frank the Alien. So here I am fitting the two pieces together once the action figure is assembled. As you can see here, I've boiled the top of it, and I also boiled the base. The only thing that is soft right now are his little tentacles. As you can see, they both have armature. Well, one has armature in it. The other one, you could kind of see when I moved it around. So now here I'm trying to just work with one leg at a time, holding it together, and then kind of fitting, making sure that his little leg will fit. So I'm going through and removing material now that'll be stuck, underneath his body. And again, I think I could have done this better by maybe making a ball that was the size of his joint, and using it as like a template, and then I could put the leg against it or in it, maybe make a hole in the center for the armature, and then I could make the leg the right way. But no, I didn't do that, and because this is a prototype, I'm kind of learning as I go, especially with this. So here I am kind of rolling out the crease using like I said, the already boiled top and bottom. And I get a lot of comments on, is boiling okay? Well, of course boiling is okay. It can be done with any polymer clay. You just go low and slow. When you're boiling it, it's what, 200 and some degrees. Um, well, that's fine. Just let it go longer than what you think. Um, than what the package says. Just make sure that you just go a little longer. And as you can see here, there's some excess. So I'm trying to, I'm cutting that out, and basically just kind of smoothing it over. I've also got some comments on is this better than baking? Well, yes, this is a lot better than baking. When I bake it, it tends to burn on the tips because some parts are thinner than others. Some parts are real thick. Like the tips of his tentacles are not going to have as much material as that joint is going to have. So I find that boiling is better. Just works better for me. Works better for the things I do. If I need to do something really small or fragile, I figure out a way to boil it. So I'll put in maybe I don't know, put it inside some tin foil or a tea seeping mesh little ball that you put tea in and you seep it in. It's like a reusable tea seeper. I don't know what they're called, but my wife has one, so I borrow it and use it for my Super Sculpey. I tend to use Super Sculpey a lot because I can buy it in a big brick. But if I'm doing other stuff, I use Fimo or whatever, however you say it. It's polymer clay is all polymer clay. They can all be mixed together. It's not going to hurt anything. They can all be boiled. They're not going to hurt anything. Armatures inside doesn't mean anything. You're not going to boil metal into a hot molten liquid. So I don't think that's something that you need to worry about. So here I am, still slowly working his cone, the attachment cone that's going to cover up the joint once the figure is done. As you can see, it's really kind of a long, very slow, tedious process because you don't want to go fast. If you go fast, you're going to tend to mess it up. You're going to make mistakes and not do stuff the way that you really want to, or how it's going to look in the long term. And again, this is still a prototype for me, so I'm kind of learning as I go. I'll figure out what's the best way, how to and then when I make the second one, I should be able to fix a lot of the mistakes I made with the first one. So and one of which, after I got done making the tentacles, I feel like the tentacles might just be too long. I wanted them to work around this like teddy bear, but for it to hold the teddy bear, it has to be real big like this. And in the comic, Frank can I'm trying to hold the arm so that I can make the cut that I need without messing it up, but it's not really cooperating with me. So just doing the best I can. As you can see, it's kind of flopping around, which it should, because I've designed it in such a way that the arm can be moved around and should be moved around. So he's an action figure, not a what are they called? Marquette or something, like where it's like a statue. It's not one of those. It's a prototype action figure. And yes, I could have taken the easy way and found something that was pre-existing, like you know, Kenner did when they built their Star Wars action figures, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted something that was mine and something that I developed from start to finish. As you can see here, there's a joint that I'm working on that keeps his arm in place. So, you know, it needs to be, it needs to have room to move, as you can see, back and forth, so that, you know, he can grab his teddy bear when he wants it. Because after all, he's just a little guy, you know? Sorry about the rocking. That's actually my iPhone attached to um, like an arm so that I can put it over you know, my work area. I was working with a camera, but the camera didn't record long enough. I need a better camera. So I was using my iPhone to record, but I feel like I always have technical issues. If anyone's good at the video editing / technical side and wanna hit me up and let me know what I could do better and make these things easier and faster, I would greatly appreciate that. As you can see here, I'm using a giant dotting tool. They come in like a set, like 5 or whatever, and each side has a bigger ball on it. And then what I'm doing is I'm just rolling out the joint so that it doesn't look so, as you can see where my fingers were, it kind of looks lumpy. So I'm just kind of smoothing it out. And then what I'll do is I'll smooth out the entire piece to match, the entire leg to match the actual, you know, angle I'm trying to make right now when I roll over everything. So this way it looks like his tentacle comes from this ball joint is basically what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm doing. And he's supposed to have six legs. But again, as I made the legs, I realized that, man, they're kind of big compared to his body. So they almost don't look like they're in proportion. Um, so it might be something I have to work on the long, you know, for the long term. Maybe remake them. I don't know. I know on like the second one, I'd probably make them smaller. As you can see in the middle, there's a cross where his body goes. See right there is the little joint. There is an armature in there that holds his arm. This way his arm doesn't like flop around. Now as you can see, there's like a nub from where I've rolled the joint down. So now I'm going to rework his leg until it's in a better spot. And it all matches. Doesn't look like he's got a big lump in his arm. Using the dotting tool again just to kind of smooth out those areas. Now the more you work Super Sculpey, the softer it becomes, especially this kind of Super Sculpey. I found a better Super Sculpey is actually the gray firm Super Sculpey. I actually have a couple bricks of it for sculpting like bigger sculptures and stuff. But again, I mean, that might be something that I use for the second guy because it just tends to work better. See here how it's moving? That's what I want. I want it to slide within that joint. And right there you can see that there's an armature wire inside there. And I boil this just like I boil the rest. So, see, there's like a It's like a little piece of Super Sculpey that is down in that joint that I have to remove for the arm to function like it's supposed to. And I got all these tools. The tool I'm using now I got when I was in college taking sculpting classes. The dotting tools I just got off of Amazon, and I got a set of wax tools I think for my birthday a few years ago, and I've been using them ever since. Those will be my stainless steel ones that are on the right. So here I'm just using this. It's a very sharp curved tool, and it works great for getting like around inside these little corners. So as you can see, I'm just kind of cleaning it up. Even when you're making a prototype, you want the parts to be as clean as possible. So here I am just slowly kind of carving this out and working on it. So these are called wax tools. I guess dentists would use them and stuff when they're gonna make like a set of dentures. They make them out of wax and then cast them. Same thing in sculpting. Whenever you're gonna make like a statue of bronze or whatever, usually bronze, you start off with a wax sculpture, and then you put this, it's like a crust material that goes around it. I'm not quite sure what it's called. And then you pour your bronze in and it removes the wax. Well, these tools are what you use. Now here I'm giving his skin some texture. I'm just using the tool to roll over the skin. It gives him texture. If you wanted something smooth, just use a Q-tip and baby oil. Rub baby oil over it. It smooths out Super Sculpey. You don't need anything fancy. You don't have to buy anything fancy. And I'm sure all those things are awesome when it comes to making Super Sculpey and stuff. But I don't have that kind of money, so I just use the kind of tools that I have on hand. Here's another one of the legs, or his arms, arms, legs. And as you can see, the armature wire is sticking right out of it. I'll clip that off later, probably after I boil it. And so there's his arms. Now his arms in the comics do stretch. They go from little to big. So, sorry about the extra light down at the bottom. I didn't notice it when I shot this piece here. So as you can see, I'm still kind of fiddling with it, trying to get it, as good as I can, because once you boil it, you're kind of stuck. Now you can add, but it's a lot harder to take away and smooth out once you have it boiled. So you have to kind of really take your time here, and you have to really kind of go slow. But once you have that done, should be, keep your fingers crossed, and with a lick and a promise here, it should be okay once you boil it. But again, you want to get it as close to what you want as possible, or else you're going to end up doing a lot of sanding, and sanding around that little joint is really going to be hard. So as you can see, I still fiddle with it here right up until the end, and I have more to come later. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you subscribe.